Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I'm very happy to participate in this debate today. And first of all, I'd like to thank my colleague from Châteauguay-Saint-Constant for bringing forward Bill C-429, which I think will help alleviate a lot of the problems that many of us are experiencing in our local communities. So I'd like to thank the member for his diligent work on this issue and bringing forward this bill. Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that when you delve into it, you find out that it's an issue right across the country. There are many, many communities who have been faced with this difficult challenge of suddenly finding that there's a cell phone tower popping up in the middle of their neighbourhood, near a school, near a residential community, in the middle of a residential community, and then they find out that if it's under 15 meters, there's nothing they can do about it. We certainly had that situation in East Vancouver, in my community, and it was because of the diligence of local community members who brought this to my attention, and also to the attention of the local member of the legislature, MLA Shane Simpson, that we found out that there was a problem in our local neighbourhood. And we immediately went to work and started looking at the regulations or lack thereof about what it was that we could do. And I have to say it was the incredible hard work of local neighbours, people like Janice, who made sure that information was available in the local community. And I have to say that they were surprised as anyone to find out that a cell phone tower had been erected without their knowledge adjacent to an apartment building, a low-rise apartment building at Hastings and McGill, slap bang in the middle of a residential neighbourhood, and there was virtually nothing they could do about it. Mr. Speaker, I immediately wrote to the industry minister and the health minister to inquire why it was that the rules and regulations exempted these cell phone towers, and that the municipality that wanted to be involved, the City of Vancouver, had really no recourse to deal with the telecommunications companies who were putting these towers in East Vancouver and other neighbourhoods. So I did immediately write letters. I raised it in the House in December of 2010. I did get responses from both ministers, and I have to say I was very dissatisfied with the responses that I got. And so myself and Shane Simpson, as the MLA, we decided to proceed with a public forum in our community and to bring in the telecommunications wireless companies actually, and the City of Vancouver to try and have a discussion about what should be done with this cell phone tower. And I have to say that Councillor Raymond Louie, who took a lot of time and interest in this issue, in responding again to the concerns in the local community, and particularly the City of Vancouver, the Deputy City Manager, Sadhu Johnson, who came to our meeting, as well as the Medical Health Officer. They actually worked very closely with us as elected officials and with the local community and with the the cell phone companies to try and find a resolution. And it was only because we were able to get the parties together in a voluntary way that we were actually able, finally, after more than a year's work, to get a resolution and to get a voluntary agreement from the company in question, that it was understood that it was an inappropriate location for a cell phone tower. So, Mr. Speaker, we had a good resolution in that one particular instance. But what has not been addressed is the ongoing issue across Canada of these cell phone towers and what it's doing in local communities, urban communities, residential neighbourhoods, and the fact that Industry Canada has really not responded. And in fact, to quote one of my constituents who wrote me an email on this just very recently, she says, Industry Canada are impossible to talk to. It is quite literally like talking to a brick wall. Canada is essentially allowing the cell phone companies to self-regulate. And she too makes the point, as my colleague just did, that this has been a very big topic of discussion for municipal councillors at the Federation of Municipalities. And, you know, basically, the municipalities are asking for a very rational change. They are asking that that municipal consultation be required on all towers that are being installed. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, I myself also brought forward a motion in the House to this effect, motion 154, that calls on Industry Canada to change the current regulations so that telecommunications companies seeking to install cell phone towers must require municipal consultation on all towers being installed and public consultation within 500 meters of any tower being installed. And I also, in my motion, call on Industry Canada to allow communities to develop their own regulation and consultation rules to prevent impacts on residential areas and where it's adjacent to schools, and also to require a public review of the statistics of what's going on with these cell phone towers. Because what I found out when I first started dealing with this a couple of years ago is that it's really quite incredible to see the number of towers that are going up across the country. And nobody seems to be keeping track of it, particularly these towers that are under 15 meters where, as I say, they can just go ahead and do it without the involvement, without the required involvement and consultation with the municipality. So I do think it's a very serious issue. There are also health concerns that need to be addressed. I know that many members in my community were also very worried about the health impacts of being so close to some of these towers. And in fact, in Vancouver, the Vancouver School Board has policies to ensure that these cell phone towers, where they're over 15 minutes, are not adjacent and close to schools. So I know that there's a lot of concern. In fact, now there's sort of a citizen movement across the country to raise awareness about the issues, both from a health perspective, also from a municipal involvement perspective, and the fact that there seems to be a complete lack of regulation and attention to this issue by Industry Canada. So, Mr. Speaker, I am very glad that this bill is before us today, because I do feel that the bill that's been very carefully put together will address many of the concerns that have been expressed to me by my constituents. And I really want to appeal to members from all sides of the House to look at this bill on its merit. It seems to me that this is the kind of bill, it's not partisan in any way, it's not political in any way, it is actually responding to a very real issue in local communities, whether the MP be Conservative, NDP, Liberal, Bloc, whatever. And as members of Parliament, surely we should be responding to that issue and be willing to find solutions and to look at this bill as a possible solution. So I do hope very much that this bill can go through second reading, that it can go to the committee, because I know that there are people who would very much like to come forward as witnesses, who would like to speak about the work that's being done at a local level. I'm sure the Federation of Canadian Municipalities would also like to come forward. I'm sure that the cell phone companies themselves would like to come forward to have a discussion about this. What we don't want to happen is to basically have this issue just kind of pushed under the carpet and ignored. I know that there are MPs from all parties who have actually dealt with this issue. I know that their constituents are phoning and emailing and organizing in local communities. So let's respond to that in a nonpartisan way. Let's take this bill, let's get it to committee, let's have a thorough examination and actually address something in a practical, rational and realistic way. So I am hopeful that members will support this bill and that we can respond to the concerns of our constituents about these cell phone towers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.